Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Automation today, going to be trying to build a Group C race car. A lot of you guys wanted to see me have a go at this, so I figured I'd give it a try. Now, we are aiming for the cars from the 1989 season. In the 1990s, they stopped allowing cars to be turbocharged, and that was kind of the demise of Group C. So we're going for it sort of the real peak. Big turbocharged 3.5 litre engines. Now, we can use anything from, I believe it's 6 to 12 cylinders. We'll be going for a 12-cylinder engine. And, of course, this is the body style that we're going to, well, have to be using. It's essentially a Group C car, really. In design-wise, makes sense to use that. Now, as I said, the year-wise, we're going for an 89 kind of year of Group C. However, I have put the model year as a 95. The reason being, of course, race cars would have technology accessible to them that road cars wouldn't have done, and that seemed like a fair enough compromise. Still a bit limited in terms of technology, but yeah, it's a race car. It's going to be fast. Now, we want, of course, the car to be light. Carbon fibre seems like a good idea to me, and I think if we go for a carbon fibre monocoque, that is probably going to be the way to go, I would think. I'd imagine that's probably what they would have had. I say that, I mean, it's this is, the game is still trying to build a road car, so it's not necessarily 100% accurate, but there we go. We will keep the car mid-engine longitudinal, will give us the most space, essentially, in the vehicle. Now, suspension-wise, Group C didn't have a huge amount of restrictions, so I'm just going to go for everything as good as we possibly can. Pushrod suspension, front and rear, seems like a solid option. A solid option indeed on this car. Now, ideally, we're going to be seeing speeds of about 250 miles an hour. That would be an ideally section. Whether we're going to be able to do that or not, I don't know. I don't know if we can get 250 out of our car. We are going to, as I said, we're going to be with a 3.5 litre V12. Now, what I want to do is make a nice high revving. Nice high revving V12, so we'll make the stroke as short as possible and then bring the bore up to there, or maybe just one below, like so. I think it would have to be technically just under 3,500cc for it to count. So there we go. Dual overhead cam. Now we can go for either 4 or 5 valves. I have been building 4 valves of late. The 5 valves is kind of a little bit better for emissions, but it doesn't matter with what we are doing here. Of course, will be an aluminium head as well. Not going to have any variable valve lift. Again, not really worried about economy. We are going to be wanting some real high-end stuff here. That much is for sure. Probably going to want maximum RPM lightweight forged rather than heavy duty forged. It's probably the way to go. And again, down here, we will probably want the lightweight forged once more. Now, the quality sliders will probably be chucked a fair way up to try and get this power up to the sort of figures that we want to see. As I said, around the 900 horsepower mark is what the Porsches were doing at the time. So, yeah, we're going to be needing you're going to be needing a lot of power out of this. Race turbo setup, big intercooler on here, and hopefully it'll all fit in the car. So far it looks like it's going to be okay for fitting in the car. Interestingly, we're going to get a performance intake rather than a full-on race intake, but well, there we have it. Ultimate fuel. This car, because unlike with the V8 supercar build we did recently, we're going to be whacking up the compression. We can run. There is advantages to, of course, running the better fuel and so on. Exhaust will probably need to be a bit bigger. None. There was many noises indeed coming out of these sorts of cars. All right, let's get the compression down so the engine stops blowing itself to bits. At the moment, it's only 350 horsepower. That will not do. Admittedly, though, that is actually without the RPM limit being raised a substantial amount. I mean, it's going to go to well, it should be able to get to sort of 10,000 RPM. We shouldn't have a problem getting all of that to work. We can stick up the fuel mixture and we can go and whack up the old compression, and we can go stick up the cam profile. That is a bit better, up to 600 horsepower. Now, turbos! I guess we can go crazy with turbos in all of this in a minute. No, we can't go any further with that just yet. Yeah, economy is not going to be great, but you know, that's going to happen. We might have got the RPM a little bit too high. I'm actually surprised. I would have kind of expected it to have, I say, survived a little bit better. Right, so turbos now. Shall we go whack up the max boost? We'll go to about 30 psi. That's a lot of boost. That's a lot of boost in here. Now let's just bring the compression back down to a sensible level. Okay, so we are now seeing about 730 horsepower. Now that's not too far off what we want to see from the car. Now if we, I'm experimenting a little bit with this stuff. If we just kind of bring up, okay, that's more like it, 795 horsepower now out of the vehicle. Now if we go, we'll go for a bit more aggressive ignition timing and then lower the compression back down again. A bit more aggressive ignition timing, and we're back up to 792 horsepower. Now, theoretically, we should be able to ramp this up quite a lot on the old quality. 844, and we can push that out a little bit more. Now if we ramp this up, it's not a huge difference in terms of the old power. Maybe ramp up the turbo. Oh, yep, that's the way to go. Ramp up the turbo. We are seeing 891 horsepower. There we go. 922. Bigger compressor is the way to go in all of that. Okay. I'm liking the amount of power here. That's about what they were getting from the Porsches. It's about what the Porsches were, I believe, running. It's a lot of power. It is a lot of power. Can we do anything with the exhaust? Yes, actually, with a bit better exhaust system, we can. Oh, we make the quality better on that. How is making the quality better on the exhaust lost us power? Hold on a second, did it not lose us? Yeah, see, we're up to 940. I don't know. 944 will do for me, I think, in terms of the old horsepower here. Oh no, I tell a lie. We can maybe squeak out a little bit more. 955. You know, this was an endurance racer, of course. Fuel and so on would be important to an extent. Maybe we'll go 950. 950 is a nice round number. 637 torque as well. It'll scream its way up to 10,000 RPM and be okay. Guess we should go and give it a listen. Oh, intercooler's actually restricting it ever so slightly. We have to go for a bit bigger. Oh yeah, wow, we need a bit bigger intercooler. 974 horsepower. It's a beast. Again, remember, this is a 3.5 litre engine that we've got going on here. It's a 3.5 litre V12, 974 horsepower. Let's, give it a listen. Okay, that's a lot of noise. There is a humongous amount of noise. I mean, it might not quite be the same sort of noise that you got from the 787B, but, yeah. As far as engines go, pretty happy with that one. The engine bay is very full. I mean, we've got what we needed in the engine bay, at least, so that is the important thing. And there we have got our body, and that will be on the car. Now, naturally, FailRace Industries orange for our LMP car. Headlights. What are we going to do with this? Now, thinking back to the sort of era, if we think about kind of a lot of the LMP cars, the Jags and so on, quite a few of them had sort of this double headlight, sort of double circle headlights going on, all within like one little bubble. I wonder if we go, because we can change around this stuff to make it sort of look the part more. I'm actually quite liking that style, a little bit more aggressive. on the car. So that's actually it's worked better than I was expecting it to look. I'm happy with that. Now, we want perhaps a small grills, small little vents on the front. Nothing ridiculous on this car. It was designed for Le Mans at the end of the day. It was designed for very, very long straights, very high speed. So we don't want too much drag going in at the front. What I might try is to give it a little bit more definition, to give it a little bit more of an interesting look. What if we go for... Now, if we get that back to body shaped, what if we make like... because again, I was playing around with this a little bit last time on the game. We can make like these little cutaways in the bonnets or in other ways using vents. Do I like that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe we go again. We keep the vents pretty small, pretty. Maybe we have some along here because yeah, we don't want to go. Maybe not go in that direction though. We don't want to go too crazy with the old vent. Oh crap! Come on then. Okay, we want to go stretch that out over. Is that going to sit? It's not going to sit kind of nicely on the fenders. No, let's not worry about that on there then. One thing we can do, one thing we definitely know we can do, and we will need is a mighty wing. What sort of mighty wing do we want though? No, not that one. Maybe this one. I mean, we can't quite do the really. I say we can't. There are probably those who are better than me. I've just had a thought though. We can kind of actually do the whole. I was about to say we can't really do the whole thing that Porsche did with like the wing inbuilt into the chassis of the car, but we actually kind of can. You know, in some ways it kind of looks the part. Kind of. I don't think there is a way, unfortunately, unless we could somehow manage to make. This is a. Ooh, I have had a thought though, whether this will work or not, whether the game is really going to like what I'm about to try and make it do, I don't know. I might be better off using a lip rather than a spoiler for this. Yeah, let's not try that. Lip. If we get one of these, so this is what I'm thinking, if we get one of these, I think the body shape is going to screw us over slightly. So if we were to get one of these, yeah, it's kind of just filling in a hole. Oh, damn, I was hoping I could use that, kind of like extend it upwards. I mean... kind of looks the part. Kind of looks the part. I just want this bit here to be able to fold into the bodywork. And there's not, as far as I am aware, there is not a way to make that happen. I certainly don't know of a way to make that happen. Is probably the best thing to say on that matter. Now, we are going to, I imagine, want some form of vents going along down this car. So we'll stick this sort of little grill at the top. Again, I'd perhaps like that to be a little bit neater sat in the car. I want it to sink in a little bit more rather than having this edge on it. But I don't think I can manage that one. Maybe we'll get some sort of big ducting around the wheels as well. Maybe a little bit further this way. Okay, because we're going to want the brakes and so on, of course, to be getting plenty of air, or to sort of look like they would be getting plenty of air. Yeah, I don't want to touch that wing at the back. Right, tail lights. And we don't really want too much to stop the airflow over the car. You'd need enough cooling to make sure, you know, the engine doesn't overheat and whatnot, but you'd want to restrict it as much as you possibly could. Now, of course, with the way that these sort of the back of this car is shaped, I mean, something like this would probably make the most sense on the back. Now, what we will do is again get rid of the indicator. It's a bloody race car. We don't need an indicator on that one. So that will sit quite nicely there. Perhaps we will go for a decent size. I say decent size. We'll go for a grill along the back bit. Oh, game. Hold on a second. That's me being a little bit keen with everything. Sort of a big old grill along the back. I don't know. Oh crap! I got rid of my mighty wing. No, come back, mighty wing. Which one were you? You were this table, weren't you? I think that was that one there that was working in the manner in which we wanted it to. Giant table wing. I'm not gonna be able to get that placed. I think it needs to be a little bit wider, doesn't it? giant table wing, and make it a little bit thinner so it fits into... Oh! It's kind of working there, actually. Hold on. If we can get this just to fit in a perfect width. Sort of. It's kind of there. Look, it's silly. It is a FailRace Industries car. It's got to be. It is a mandatory requirement for a FailRace Industries car to be very, very silly. Maybe if we get one of these and sit it along the top up here, possibly. Oh, something like that. Yeah, that's all right. That works. That works for me. I might leave the bottom. I might just leave the back of it as it is. just leave the back as a solid sort of solid sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much you can really do with. I say that you can really do that. I can really do with this. It's not too much. Maybe we will have actually sort of the vents running down the. Do we want that sort of style? Maybe. Oh, go wait! Don't tell me that's the wing again. Got some vents sort of running along the. Probably want this the other way around. Running along the sort of the back of the cabin for this one, and they're not quite rotated correctly, but there we go. Oh, not that way. Just sort of stretch them out down there. No, don't want that together. There we go. We'll have those sat on the back of it. Right, it's not quite as pretty as the Lancia. I will say that much. The Lancia is definitely the prettier car, but no, it looks the part. It looks the part. We will give it some wing mirrors, and in true Group C style, we will probably get these ones here, sort of stick them out on stalks round about... Oh. No, that's not quite how I want it, game. I guess we'll have to kind of sit them in there. It doesn't really sit onto the car that well, but yeah. That works. Can I get... Oh, I can't get rid of the basic ones. Oh, I wanted stalk ones out the front, but apparently no, it's got to keep them. Some body styles it doesn't come with these, some apparently it does. So, there we have it. And, of course, FailRace Industries badge of approval will go on this. Would probably look better with a livery of some description. Again, you know, that's kind of a big wear in which the looks for these race cars come from. Not something that I can do on here, but there we go. Okay, on to the important stuff. Well, it's got to be rear-wheel drive. It will be a 6-speed manual. Reckons top speed 223 miles an hour. See if we can get a bit more out of it. 240 would be nice. It'd be a little bit down on the Porsches, although perhaps, or I say on the Porsches, on the fastest cars, perhaps with a little bit of fiddling around with the aero, that might go away to deal with the speed. Now we can't have it on full racing slicks. The best that we can do here, because of course these cars are still supposed to be road cars on this game, are the semi-slick tyres. You know, the fastest that we're going to get, we'll get some 275s at the front, 285s at the rear. We could widen the rear arches a little bit on the vehicle. But now kind of put everything on there. I don't want to cock about with it too much. Okay, maybe not. Magnesium wheels, expensive, but we're going to be wanting the wheels to be as light as possible. Vented disc, 4 pistons, very big. Very big brakes are going to be wanted on this. They're going to be, you know, you're going to want as crazy a brakes pretty much as you can get. Less need, you know, for the rear brakes, and then we're going to want. We'll go 60-40, and semi-slick compound is reducing drivability. This is going to be a savage car to drive. Of course it is. It's a top-tier race car for the day. We're going to want downforce under tray. We're not going to have active wings or cooling flaps on this. We will needs a fair amount of cooling, as you can expect. It's going to whack up the brake cooling. Don't want brake fade at all on this. I guess it would probably have been a one-seat vehicle. Imagine it would have been a one-seat vehicle in all of these. So we will go with that. Interior is going to be basic. There's going to be no entertainment. Again, it's a race car. You don't need any of that. Now, would it have had power steering? I mean, imagine these things being endurance races. You would want some form of power steering. It would be very, very tiring. Very tiring indeed. I don't know whether they would have been running would there be allowed traction control or not on the cars? Possibly. We're also going for no safety because of the weight penalty. While the car would be very strong structurally, you know, roll cages and so on, it wouldn't add the weight in the same way that this stuff down here does. Now, suspension-wise, would they have been allowing active suspension back here? I mean, you know what? Sure, let's go for it. We're pushing the boat out. Like the Formula One cars very quickly banned active suspension when they realised just how quick the cars were going. Right, we're going to want ride heights to be all the way down, handling to be set up as sportily as possible. Now, drivability, I suspect, is suffering a big old penalty. You know, because this is a ridiculous car. So the game doesn't really like having the seat count. So what happens if we go put that back up to 2? The game's a little bit happier if you give it 2 seats. So turbocharged V12 in this one. Overall, the weight 1,159 kilos. I think it might be a little bit heavier than perhaps some of the cars that it was going up against. But again, we are limited by my badge at the back is screwed up. By what the game will allow the vehicles to go to on here. You know, this is still supposed to technically still be a road car. Right. It reckons top speed only 218 miles an hour, 0 to 63.2 seconds, so not the best in terms of the old straight line speed, but that might be the downforce. If you imagine this car was being, you know, set up for normal circuit racing rather than at Le Mans, 218 is not bad for this sort of car. The lap time-wise, it's going to be very quick around here. I say very quick. 113.5. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. We might be able to do better if we go into detailed stats. So, the handling and brakes is a big old minus going on here. It doesn't like the circle test. Why would this be having issues with the circle test? It has some issues with the wheel spin, a little bit of brake balance issues, terminal oversteer. I mean, 900 horsepower rear-wheel drive car is going to get you some terminal oversteer. I wonder if we go for potentially extending. If we can find a nice point with the gear ratios. Try and sort of calm down the try and calm down the lunatic wheel spin. It's not very easy to calm down the lunatic wheel spin of this car. It's gonna be a lunatic machine. So let's have a look at the various. Car tends to oversteer. Well, unsurprising. We have given it all the bloody traction control bits and pieces that we can. So let's see if we go and try and find a way to smooth out the understeer a little bit with some setup tweaks. Basically, from what I see with this game, you basically want to give the car. We're not going to can't give the front end bloody positive camber, but basically it wants the front of the cars to have very low camber and the rear of the cars to have very high camber up until the wheels explode. Pretty much is the way to appease the game. By the time we get to that 2.8, I think we kind of hit where it stops doing any real good for the vehicle. That will do. The front dampers are hard, so let's try and minimize them. You see, I'm not sure that is particularly correct on that. We'll just increase this. Try and it's helping with drivability. Oh no, it's gone a little bit past helping with drivability. What, 110% is probably about as good as we're going to get. Not that way with the old. You see, we got it a little bit better with the specs. I mean, it's 66.2% in the hyper category because it's not really supposed to go on the road whatsoever. 6 miles a gallon, probably not great. Probably not great in all of that. What other things does it reckon are difficult? Rear camber setting is high. I don't care about that particularly. Rear brake force is very high. Again, it doesn't really like the brake balance that we've got going on. So shall we try and find a little bit nicer? Because again, we jump that down and then it makes it less happy. I would say we just keep it massive rear brakes, quite frankly. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why the roll test is upsetting it so much. I know it will do it with cars that are like very high riding vehicles like vans and so on that I've built in the past. Some of those will be kind of completely undrivable because of the roll test. What if we go for tires? Actually, we're on here. What if we go and just up the quality of the tires? Now that should... It makes the car considerably more expensive, but it should make the car considerably faster. Don't know why that takes it out of the hyper category. Maybe it's getting too expensive when you start taking it out of the hyper category. Let's go and send it around again. So a 13.5 to beat. Not sure all those setup changes are going to help it a huge amount. We'll send it, yeah, we'll send it again though. Of course, we don't have the ultra modern brakes, the carbon ceramic brakes, and all of that. It is going to be, yeah, we saved about a second off the lap time with some setup changes, some bit better tyres. Well, that is our Group C car. It's a monster. Funnily enough, nobody really wants to drive it on the road. It's a bit too difficult for just about everybody to manage to drive on the road. Power-wise, it is pretty much up there. 973.9 horsepower. The downforce, I think, might be a little bit too high, I think. Well, I say that. We've actually not got very much. What if we drop the front? Let's drop the angles all the way down to, let's say, what you might see. Say what you might see at Le Mans. I don't know what sort of thing they would see at Le Mans. Say 15 is this option. Now what does it reckon the top speed is? Only 222 miles an hour. Now just one more time around the track. Yeah, I'm not sure I've quite got the top speed sorted. There might be a bit too much drag on our car. Maybe sort of too much cooling needed for the engine, and that's causing issues. Because yeah, more cooling is needed, the more drag you're probably going to get. Went a little bit quicker actually with all the downforce taken off around a technical circuit. I know nothing about car design, apparently. But there we go. 3.5 litre V12 for our Group C car, with power figures just about there. Just about there indeed. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.